I am so tired of working from home. I'm not. I've been able to more than double my salary in the last 2 years. What? How?
Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. It's your host London Lamborghini, and in today's video we are talking about double the pay, double the stress, the secret life of the overemployed. Imagine juggling not one but two full-time jobs, all from your living room. Yes, today we are talking about working more than one remote full-time job. But how do people actually pull this off? And is the burnout worth it? What if someone gets caught? We're going to talk about all this and more, so stay tuned for the whole video. Here's the truth behind the double pay dream.
I am so tired of working from home. I'm not. I've been able to more than double my salary in the last 2 years. What? How? Like, I got a regular salary increase, but with inflation, I'm not making much more money. Well, not me. I'm overemployed. Okay, and that means a lot of people with corporate jobs are doing it. I have 2 full-time jobs now. And I'm making $210,000 a year instead of $100,000 too. Okay, I have so many questions. How do you have time for that? And are you even allowed to? And also why? The key is that they're both remote, right? So I don't have to do too much work. I just do the basics of my job and don't go too hard. And I guess it's not really allowed, but I just don't tell anyone. Except you, I guess. But don't you feel bad? Listen, after all the job cuts and just general stress corporations have caused people since the beginning of 2020, who cares if I'm playing the system too? And why would I work really hard at one job for one salary when I could work just hard enough at 2? Interesting. I guess that is one way to look at it. I don't really want that type of stress, but thanks for telling me. What do you think about the overemployed movement? Let us know in the comments.
Another wild story from the day-to-day of being a mortgage lender. Recently had a client come to me and found out she is working 2 full-time jobs, 100% remotely. And she was super nervous to tell me this, and like she's, hiding some top secret or something like that. So I asked her how in the world that she managed to swing that, or how she's making that work. And she said at the start of the pandemic, she started working for a company, 100% remote, and figured out she could do her job pretty quick, and was just sitting there for the rest of the day bored with nothing to do. So she started looking for a different job that would have more work and be a little bit more fulfilling for her. And so she eventually finds a company a few months later and applies for the company, gets the job. She decided to kind of do a test drive with that company and just see if she liked working there before she decided to quit the first job. And after working both jobs for a few weeks, realized that she can do both full-time jobs and still have free time left over. So she decided to keep both of them and keep working. Kind of makes you question your 9 to 5. So on the mortgage side, is this even allowed? Can somebody do this? Yeah. You can absolutely have 2 full-time jobs, not an issue. And we won't disclose that to your employers. We won't go tattletale on you or anything like that. And if you've been at both jobs long enough, at least a year with both jobs at the same time, we can use both incomes to help you qualify for a mortgage.
Here's how to manage 2 full-time jobs or 2 full-time remote jobs at the same time. This is often referred to as moonlighting. Now, moonlighting is not inherently illegal. However, some organizations might have specific rules around moonlighting if you're employed with them. This is why it's so important to read your employee handbook, okay? Most of the times, they are not going over moonlighting in new hire orientation. So it's something that you would have to find out about in the employee handbook. Or you can flat out ask your manager or your HR representative if it's okay. So number 1 is to ensure legal and ethical compliance. You don't want to breach any employer contracts that you've already signed with one of your jobs, because then at best, they'll fire you. At worst, they'll take you to court. You also want to make sure you're not breaking any tax laws. So consult with a CPA or an accountant just to make sure all your ducks are in a row for your state laws. Number 2 is to build a healthy work schedule. Stephen Tillicke, who is a successful moonlighter, wrote this article for Think Remote website. He suggests to actually build out your work schedule before you even start applying for your second job. Make sure that it looks feasible and doable to you, because you don't necessarily want to have 2 jobs that start and end at the same time. Number 3 is to make sure you have all of the proper tools that you need prior to starting these jobs. Now that includes tech. So you want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is jumping, honey. You don't want slow internet when you're trying to send out 2 deliverables. Number 4 is to prioritize self-care. It's easy to get burned out with having one job, let alone two. So you want to make sure you're doing the things that keep you healthy, that keep you happy, and separate it from your work responsibilities and duties. So I hope that helps. If you're interested in more information on how to manage 2 remote jobs, make sure to check out that article on Think Remote website. And if you're interested in more career tips like these, follow me for more.
Let's talk remote job stacking and how you can do it. So this is having 2 or more remote jobs simultaneously being employed by 2 different companies and exactly how you're gonna do it. Now, if you guys job stack already and you have tips or tricks, definitely sound up in the comments below. If you're trying to get into it, let me know that you're here, you're interested, and I'll make some more content for you. A benefit of job stacking is you have job security. So let's say one company decides they're doing layoffs, they no longer need you, XYZ, you hate it, you wanna quit. You already have a backup job on deck, and I like the stability. I also like the money, okay? We're trying to pay off debt. We're trying to live through this inflation. Job stacking is the only way to go, and you can do it from home, remote. You don't have to job stack out in the public. My biggest tip is going to be to job stack 2 different niche type jobs. So one could be an on-phone job and one could be a data entry, pick your hours, set your schedule, more 1099 contracted role. That way you have the flexibility. You're not like on a call center on one and then having to take a call center on the other. And you could actually job stack 2 different ways. You could do them simultaneously in the same hours, or you could do it like a 9 to 5 and then you've got like a 3 to 10 or whatever the hours would be for that. So you do have a little bit of overlap, but the overlap's not going to kill you. So I'm the type of person with a little bit of overlap because if I have 2 going on at the same time, my ADHD is saying no. The number 1 question I get is, do you tell your employers that you're job stacking? Absolutely no. They don't need to know your business. Your business is your business. You're there to do work for them. Clock in, clock out, never share any information. It's like when people become friends with their coworkers and then there's like work drama. I'm just there to make money and get out. I don't want to know about your personal problems. I don't want to know about your issues. You don't need to know about mine. Let's make the money. We're on. Hi, how are you? Clock out. Okay, so do not tell them you are job stacking. Back for this without getting caught is to number 1, don't speak about job stacking. Okay, so I'm out here putting myself on the line. I think I'm gonna be good though, but never speak about it publicly because you don't know who's gonna be your op trying to get you fired. And you're gonna need 2 workstations and 2 setups. So get 2 computer systems, 2 monitors. There are keyboards that switch, but that's a little confusing for me, so I like to do the 2 keyboards. That way, if they're tracking you on the work systems, they can't see you doing work for someone else. You've got to be smart, okay? So go to the thrift store, get yourself a cheap workstation. They're literally 20 bucks a piece, and make that money. If you want more tips, let me know.
I wanted to do a follow-up to the Equifax story that I just posted. I used to work for this consulting firm. I had a coworker who used to complete all their work in 20 hours. Everybody else would take 40 hours or more to complete their work, but they always completed ahead of everybody else. And because of this, they felt like they had too much free time, so they wanted to get a second job. Now, I don't understand why employers get upset about this, because when you hire somebody for 40 hours as a full-time employee, whether they work the 40 hours or don't, it really doesn't matter as long as their work is getting completed. Y'all don't say anything when people work over 40 hours, so why does it matter when we work under? Anyway, after interviewing with a few companies, they got a job offer pretty quick. This is where they messed up. They listed the current employer, the consulting company, on their background check information, which you never do. And if you do, you make sure you check that box that says do not contact this employer. So the background check people contacted the consulting firm. HR answered the phone, said, yes, they work here, and immediately went to the CEO to say, hey, I think this person's interviewing and may take another job. I think a week or so went by and they didn't say anything, but eventually they confronted my coworker and said, hey, we were contacted by this company. Do you work there? They didn't want to lie, obviously, so they said, yes, I do. The CEO was so pissed only because they felt like the coworker was stealing money from the company, because they could have brought that opportunity into the organization for the organization to make more money. That's how consulting firms work. They're going to charge the client like $300 an hour, but only pay you $50 an hour. And they fired her effective immediately. And it's just crazy to me because they were upset that this coworker chose to monetize their extra time solely because that monetization excluded them from the pot. Even if this coworker brought this opportunity to the company, they were not going to give this person a pay raise. I know, because I used to bring clients to the company all the time and I was not compensated for that. So yeah, these companies need to mind their business. If the work is getting done, that's all that matters.
I recently had a friend ask me how I held 2 full-time jobs. Here's how. So as a Black woman and an immigrant, I've always been taught that I have to work twice as hard to get half as much. Yeah. So when I entered corporate, I sort of decided that I'm going to embody the confidence, I'm going to embody the audacity of a white man. So instead of going into a position and giving 100% of myself, I decided that they could get a good 40% of me. And I'll tell you how I came up with this. So right after grad school, I had a friend who immediately jumped into a new position, was hella excited, gave 100% of herself. And so on those days when she wasn't feeling well or she was feeling sick and like only able to give 80 or 70, people noticed and they would be like, what's wrong? Why aren't you keeping up the pace? Why aren't you producing in the same way that you had been before? And she always told me, I wish I never gave 100 from the beginning. So I'm thankful to my girl for going through that experience because I learned through her experience. So every workplace that I entered, I would say honestly, I would give about like 50, 60-ish%. But when I decided I want to have 2 full-time jobs, I dialed it back to 40. When you give 40% of yourself and people think it's your 100%, if you give even 10, 20% more, you're only at 50 or 60, they're like, wow, you're doing an amazing job and you're not overworking yourself. If you start off at 100, you can't take a break. So when I decided I'm gonna have 2 full-time jobs, I started scaling back at one of my jobs and got them used to my new 100%, which was 40. 2 full-time jobs wasn't going to be easy. So baseline, if I gave 40% at each job, that was still 80% of my actual full self. And I had 20% to sort of like just decompress. And when I needed to rev things up, I'm only revving up to 50% at each job. So it was hard because there were times where I am actually working 100% of myself and like of my abilities to be able to maintain both positions and do them well. But on a regular day, baby, you're getting 40. I'm sorry, you were getting 40. This is for y'all who want to finesse, okay? If you genuinely enjoy and love your job, the job I currently have now, then give what you can. When you're in a healthy work environment, you don't have to play these games. And unfortunately, I wasn't in a healthy work environment for a really long time, and so I had to find ways to protect myself. This was how.
This topic is especially interesting for me because, as you know, I am a part of the generation that does not remember what life was like before social media. So when you're a part of this social media based generation and that's all you know, then you are constantly being bombarded with messages of people who are trying to sell their programs or trying to get you to sign up for some course, that they have achieved financial freedom, that they have made it, that they have become a millionaire, and you must follow them through this path of entrepreneurship and escape your soul-crushing, begrudging, dredging, horrific and terrifying 9-to-5. So, as preteens do, with my young, impressionable mind, I had made it up in my mind that I'm not going to be like my parents. I'm not going to follow in their footsteps because I can at first hand see the effects that their full-time 9-to-5s have on them. How they're always drained, they're always tired, they're complaining about living paycheck to paycheck, not having financial flexibility. And because I can see that up close, I vowed to myself that I'm going to pursue alternative routes to financial access and gain. I had always had it planned. I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I'm gonna be a content creator. I'm gonna work for myself. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna do something online. I'm gonna make money online. I had that drilled into my mind. However, now I've got the degree, I've graduated, I'm out of college, and reality has set in for me. That do I want to be a participating adult in society and pay bills like everyone else? Yes, that is something that I want to dip my toes into. And if I'm going to do that, then the most logical and easiest and most likely the fastest way to do so is by gaining an income through traditional employment. So yes, I have only recently come to this realization that working is a part of being a grown-up and earning an income. You might be thinking, but London, didn't you want to buy nice things? Like, don't you want to go on vacation? Like, why would you not want to work? Well, like I said, growing up in the social media generation, having a job was depicted as a wage slavery servitude that would dim your light in every way, shape, and form and crush your soul. So no, I did not view that as something feasible for my life. But now, after the successful deconstruction of those notions, beliefs, and ideas, it's safe to say that I am more than open not only to securing one role, but more than one at the same time. And my motivation for this, and many other people's motivations for this, all depends and boils down to your personal financial goals and the dreams that you have. Because at the end of the day, you're trading your time for money. You have no time, but you're bringing all that cash. You need to do something with it. Yeah, you can buy a bunch of designer stuff, but like, what is the point of that? There's really no point in that. So these are all the topics that we discuss on my channel and more. I would love to know your thoughts about this whole trend. Do you think it's just a trend, or do you think that this is the way that the future of work is going? I do want to know about all your financial goals in the comments, and if you would try this to help you get any closer to those goals. And as always, thank you for all the new subscribers. I love each and every one of you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.